Heisman contenders, March Madness Cinderellas, Olympic level talent. The energy of college athletics is unmatched. And every week, we highlight the most incredible performances, the biggest upsets, and the breakout stars that will become the next generation of professional legends. If it's trending, if it's dominating the headlines, it is officially noteworthy. Get ready for your all-access pass to the collegiate sports world. Welcome to Noteworthy in the NCAA, brought to you by the Empty the Bench Network. Now, let's join your host, Will Charlton.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Noteworthy in the NCAA National Championship Preview Show for Miami, Indiana. I'm Will Charlton. Trevor Williams on the show here today. Trevor, welcome to Noteworthy in the NCAA. Happy to have you on, man.
Great start off to the show. It's going to be a fantastic national championship. Two great programs going at, great runs that we have. But, Will, before we get down to it, I'll let you take the show away.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, you can follow Trevor across social media at TWilly624. You can follow me on Twitter at WillCharltonH13, at TikTok, Will Charlton TV, and Instagram as well. Make sure to follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network across all social media platforms. And also make sure to follow Forever Power 5, the podcast I'm a part of at P5ETB on Twitter and Instagram, and then Forever Power 5, no caps or spaces, on TikTok. And then make sure to stay up to date with all our shows at youtube.com/Empty the Bench Network. So yeah, like Trevor said, we're going to get some smaller stuff out of the way that we normally like to talk about here on Noteworthy in the NCAA. And then we'll really take a dive into tonight's national championship. So Trevor, I like to kind of start things off by talking about a little men's basketball. The new AP poll came out today, as it does every Monday. And, there were some pretty big shakeups because college basketball went down from 5 undefeated teams to only 3 undefeated teams for this new week. Vanderbilt and Iowa State gone from the ranks of undefeated. They both lost 2 games this week, but they really didn't slide down all that much. Iowa State slid down to 9. And then Vanderbilt actually kind of took a tumble. They went from 10 to 15. But yeah, I mean, when you look at this AP poll, not much has changed at the top. Arizona still number 1, undefeated record. UConn now number 2, Michigan number 3, Purdue 4, Duke 5, undefeated Nebraska is at 7. And then I'm a little biased for talking about this here, but a very interesting team who has kind of been on the rise up lately. Illinois won 7 in a row. It's undefeated on the road in Big Ten play so far, 4-0 on true road games. They're up to 11. Like I said, Vanderbilt slides down to 15. And then defending national champion Florida, which is pretty interesting. I mean, they have 5 losses, so it makes sense why Vanderbilt's a slot ahead of them. But Florida, after kind of finding its feet under itself, the defending national champs are up to 16 now. They have been kind of on a heater lately. And then let's take a look at the rest of it here. I kind of love this too, to wrap up the poll. St. Louis and Miami of Ohio, 2 mid-majors. Miami of Ohio undefeated, St. Louis 17-1. They're both in the top 25 this week as well at 24 and 25 respectfully. So Trevor, any thoughts on the new AP poll?
I would say the toughest one right now is Florida and Vanderbilt because they just played each other. And you're going to tell me the head-to-head doesn't matter right now, even though you still have a long part before you get into the whole conference tournament. I think you got to flip it the other way, even though Vanderbilt is 6-2. I think you got to honor and respect the head-to-head matchup right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of just comes down to the fact that Florida has those 5 losses and Vanderbilt has only had 2. But, obviously as the season continues to go on and on, it's just there'll be a lot more things that come about that will shake things up. I'm pretty interested to see how this Florida team really starts kind of performing from here, because look at a guy like Xavier Lee, for instance, a big transfer name coming in from Princeton for this year. And he just played phenomenal in the game against Vanderbilt. I mean, he basically put Florida on his back, as well as Ruben Chinyulu, who was just dominant in that game as well. So I think that Florida right now is in a really good spot. And, it's a team who knows how to win. I mean, they still got a handful of guys from that team last year, obviously losing the guys like Elijah Martin, Walter Clayton. I mean, those losses are tough. But, it's a team who knows how to win. So that'll be pretty interesting. And, I mean, how do you feel about the mid-majors being in there? I kind of love it personally because they've proven they can win.
Yeah, I like having it in there. But the thing is, you got to get hot at the right moment in time. So this starts that campaign late January, getting through your conference championship tournaments, and you roll into March Madness. Yes, the polls have some weight, but you're trying to fight for a good seat. So you don't have to do the 12 versus 5 matchup, because a lot of those 12 seeds have been upsetting 5 teams for the last couple years. So at least one of the 12 seeds pulls up the upset. So you want, I wouldn't say you want the 10-7 seed almost, but you try to avoid the upset trajectory for some of the seeds.
I want to say that the statistic is that over the last, It's like over the last handful of I can't remember what the exact year is, but over the last handful of tournaments, the 12 seed at least gets 1 win over a 5 seed every year, like going back for like the last 10, 15 years, something like that. Because even this past tournament, McNeese beat Clemson. So that was another 12-5 upset that happened. So no, you're right. I mean, those mid-majors who win close to 30 games in a regular season come in playing hot, they win their conference tournament. Anything can happen from there. I mean, you see these type of teams advance on in the tournament, and Miami, Ohio, that's just a team who doesn't know how to lose. I'm not too sure if you saw their last game against Buffalo, but they not only did they hit a game-tying 3-pointer as the regulation expired to tie the game and send it to overtime, they hit a game-winning 3-pointer in overtime as time expired. I mean, this is just a team who does not know how to lose. 19-0. And the MAC is not like a conference the MAC has had some decent teams in it lately. I mean, Akron's made the tournament a few times lately, and given teams a tough time in the first round. I want to say Buffalo's been there a couple times, and those are teams already that Miami's beat. And St. Louis, I mean, they play in a sneaky good Atlantic 10 conference. So obviously they got the guy with the goggles, Robbie Avila. That guy's always kind of fun to watch too. So, and then I kind of also like to talk about the new KenPom rankings that are updated as of today. And I mean, there's a ton of games on this day today, but no college basketball games are really that significant today, just because of, the main spotlight being the college football playoff national championship. But, when you look at this top 10 of KenPom right now, we're at a point in the season where these top 10 teams are probably, I'll say the top 15. These top 15 teams are probably the ones you're going to want to watch out for deep runs in March Madness. I mean, when you look at these top 15 teams in KenPom right now, if you have the list up, these are the teams you're going to really want to keep an eye on for deep runs, like Michigan, who has been phenomenal this year. Arizona's undefeated still. Duke's been great. I mean, we have the best freshman in the country in Cam Boozer. Purdue's a very good team. Obviously, they had the one slip up against Iowa State at home, which was pretty fascinating. Houston's always just phenomenal on the defensive end. A team like Gonzaga is interesting to me just because I'm not really too – I think their guard play might kind of hurt them later on the stretch. I think they're just not the deepest team out there. But and then my Fighting Illini, number 7 on the heater. The Illini I've been on lately. Iowa State 8, Florida 9 now. I mean, Florida's rising up in the KenPom metrics, and Michigan State 10, UConn 11, Vanderbilt 12, Nebraska 13, Virginia 14, BYU 15. And I mean, these are easily accessible to anyone watching. KenPom.com. I'm sure all you guys know that's not very discrete knowledge, but this is KenPom and Barge Forbic are kind of like the Bibles for the basketball season, just because this is the true test of like where a team is at and how they're measured, what the numbers say about them. And the net rankings do that really well too. So Yeah, college basketball though. This show is primarily going to be all college basketball once the college football season wraps up tonight. So now that we've kind of gone over some college basketball, let's actually get into some college football, and we'll get into the national championship in a few minutes here. But we just want to go over some transfer portal updates lately. And Trevor, I think one of the biggest ones we got to talk about is Dante Moore staying at Oregon next year instead of declaring for the NFL draft.
I think how he got, I wouldn't say embarrassed during the Indiana game, but those 3 turnovers on the short field kind of was the written in the stars for that Oregon team. I don't think they can pull back, but even if you take like a granular look at that game, outside of the turnovers, it was fairly even in some of like the matchup stats. Like the possession was fairly close to being even. First downs for Oregon was 20 compared to Indiana's 18. But when you have those 3 turnovers and you look at Mendoza's stats, he only threw for 177 yards passing in that game with 5 touchdowns.
He didn't do a lot, you know?
Yeah, he didn't have to do anything. So it was just like 17 for 20 for his, passing completions. Solid game of football for him across the board. But you would think, oh, they have 56 points. You would think he would at least have 300 yards passing. That was not the case there.
Yeah, I mean, he still had, 5 touchdowns, though, I think, through the air, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show.
About 5.
Yeah, that just goes to show how elite this Indiana team is. And we'll get more into that, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be kind of curious to see how this Dylan Raiola, Dante Moore kind of thing shakes out for Oregon now, though, because obviously Raiola is a guy who has 2 years of starting experience in the Big Ten at Nebraska. And now all of a sudden they got 2 quarterbacks who are definitely starter worthy. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I think it's just like, I don't know what they're going to do there.
You can kind of run like a 2 quarterback system, but if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, as the saying goes. So they could do some trick plays that change up the name of the game, or you kind of have like a running quarterback where it might be like 3rd and 3. You do a quarterback draw and let the other quarterback get the quick pounding of the short yard game to get the first. But I feel like what is Moore going to do? Like, I feel like he's graduated at this point. So what classes is he going to even take on top of that?
I mean, I feel like you can ask that for any quarterback. Look at Carson Beck. He's in his 6th year of college football right now playing tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he literally came on in a press conference. I'm sure you saw this, but he came on a press conference saying, "Oh, I don't take classes. I graduated 2 years ago." It's like, come on, man. This is really the era we're really in right now. I mean, like, I don't know. I find that to be really funny.
I think it's like the COVID air still bleeding off on top of that.
Yeah, I think so. Good. I think so. On3 also posted something that I kind of found to be really fascinating and actually plays into tonight really well. So apparently, this is just a really recent report that came out, but Miami tried to get Fernando Mendoza to flip to from Indiana to Miami in the transfer portal last year, because obviously they played Cal last year on the road and saw what Mendoza can do to them. So Mendoza knows Miami's team and almost beat them last year. In fact, they had a big lead and let it up at the end. But his younger brother Alberto said, quote, "They came in late, they pushed hard for sure, but ultimately Indiana won." So that's actually pretty significant to watch out for tonight. And also another thing that's interesting. So obviously Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback of Ole Miss, he got denied that waiver to keep playing at Ole Miss next year. Now he's suing the NCAA, which is like, he's trying to get a 6th year. And it's just like, there's no double standard anymore. There's really not,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, I guess he's really trying to get back to Ole Miss for one more year. And then the one last thing that I kind of saw that was significant lately, or I guess a couple more things. First off, I'll say Ryan Staub, the quarterback who was kind of sharing snaps at Colorado this year with Caden Salter. He is now transferring to Tennessee, so it looks like the Volunteers have their quarterback next year. And then This is a really interesting thing. So Dylan Edwards, who started at Colorado, was at Kansas State last year. He's transferring to Kansas, running back Dylan Edwards. So he's going from one Kansas school to the other. He's going to play for a rival next year. That just kind of shows how crazy the transfer portal is, don't you think?
Yeah, I think with the year of, I guess, with how NIL has translated into the transfer portal, there's no consistency of, I'm going to stick around. I can transfer 3 times to finally find that dream school that's going to take me over the edge in NIL. And sure, it has helped small schools, but at some point, the bigger schools are going to start pouring in way too much money, and they're just going to flip things on their head. Like, I could see Oregon and Nike just going to town to build like a dream dynasty. And it hasn't happened yet. But when you have CEOs saying, that's my school, and I'm going to drop over $1 billion on my program, they can get any college player they want at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it right in the head. I couldn't agree more. And one last thing before we actually take a dive into this national championship game. So college basketball made a switch this past week that the transfer portal window is now going to open up for 15 days the day after the national championship is played. I think that is a fantastic move, and college football needs to follow in suit with that because there is just so much mayhem right now. Like, I mean, look at Indiana and Miami, or even like the pass round, Ole Miss and Oregon. I mean, they had to be in the portal looking for guys for next year, but they're still preparing for games. And now college basketball is setting the precedent that, like, yeah, this is an off-season thing, not an in-season thing. College football needs to do this too, I think.
Yeah, they definitely need to, because like I think the transfer portal opens like right after conference championship weekend, and then like people start transferring during bowl season, and they don't play in those bowl games. But then there's a side of me start to think of like how the NFL has old quarterbacks slipping back in. So you could have a quarterback that transfers from, let's say, Tennessee and plays in the college football playoffs and wins the whole thing because their starting quarterback goes down.
Yeah, it's it's wild. It's wild because obviously in this day and age, I mean, there's really no such thing as building a program anymore. You know, there really isn't. And if you're watching and you want to ask either of us any questions along the way, feel free to drop a question in the comments section. We'd be happy to answer it for you. But now that we've kind of covered the small things, let's actually get into this national championship game, shall we? So Indiana and Miami going at it tonight in Miami's home stadium for the College Football Playoff National Championship. The season all comes down to this. Kickoff is in just about, let's say, a little over an hour from now. I'll tell you what, Trevor. I mean, this Indiana team, let's start with them. This Indiana team has just shown that they have no flaws. I mean, they have shown no weaknesses at all. Fernando Mendoza showing why he won the Heisman, like you explained, even though he didn't really do a whole lot through the air against Oregon. He still had the 5 touchdowns. But Indiana is just a wrecking ball right now. And if you told me that literally 2 years ago, I would laugh at you because as a Big Ten guy, like Indiana was the laughing stock of the conference in football. Like if you played Indiana, it was a game on your calendar. It's like, oh, okay, we're 1-0 already because we have Indiana on our schedule. But now, I mean, you look at what Curt Cignetti's done in these last 2 years. What is it? He's now 26-2 in 2 seasons. It's just it's mind-boggling. And Indiana's favored by 7.5 in this game. The total is 46.5. I'll tell you what. I mean, just looking at how Indiana has done, I think Miami on paper is probably the toughest team they've faced in these playoffs now to this point. But it's just hard not to ride with the Hoosiers, man.
Yeah, they definitely have the Cinderella story that everyone's looking for. We're going to probably get a 30 for 30 if they win tonight. But at the same time, I was at the Indiana game last year when they played Ohio State. I was up in the south side of the shoe when it went down. Indiana was playing with Ohio State relatively close. And then as the game progressed on, talent just beat Indiana. Mm-hmm. So now you flip the script with a couple more transfer portals into Indiana. And it's a completely different team. Like we thought this year, maybe they had like another easy schedule to get them there. The two, their only two toughest teams on the schedule was Oregon and Penn State. They beat Oregon convincingly by 10 points. So it was like, okay, maybe they just got through. But then when they ran into Penn State drive, and that Penn State team didn't have a starting quarterback or their head coach. So we didn't know what this Indiana team was going to go into the playoffs. But when they played Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, holding the Buckeyes to 10 points, it's a vastly different team at that point. And then they just kept rolling from there, beating Alabama in the Rose Bowl, only preventing what 6 points or 3 points for Alabama? Unheard of from what that Alabama team has what Alabama's done to like other teams this season, and then you see that performance. And then they face Oregon again. People thought, it's going to be close. It might come down to the wire. No, they capitalized on the turnovers and they just blew them out of the water. So there's like no second guessing about how Indiana beat Oregon the first time around. Like everyone's convinced a legit team. Now they just got to finish the job. Miami, on the other hand, they have the controversy of getting in. People said Notre Dame should go in because of the head-to-head. You have that matchup, even though with Miami winning it, but the committee had Notre Dame ranked above Miami for the last 2 weeks going in before they did the final selection. So you got that controversy. Miami has to finish their job to show that they were legit and they rightfully deserved to win this national championship. But I think this Indiana team is just going to play mistake-free football. And we saw what happened in the Ole Miss game. Miami's defense was giving up penalties late. I think Miami gave up like 10 penalties in that game. You cannot do that in a national championship game. If you do that, you're going to lose.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. But I will say this, like going back to the whole controversy between Miami and Notre Dame, it was one of those deals that, a lot of people thought like, Notre Dame has better strength of schedule. Notre Dame, the head-to-head shouldn't matter because it was week one. And, when you really like, does Notre Dame have the two better losses? Yes, they do. Indiana, obviously, Miami's two losses to SMU and Louisville. Those aren't good losses, especially when Carson Beck, I believe it was 4 interceptions in the game against Louisville. And SMU, road game that just kind of got away from you. But yeah, head scratchers. Like those two games are head scratchers. And when Miami got in, obviously, I think that the committee set a precedent in this college ball playoff that head-to-head ultimately does matter. And what I would have been interested to see, though, is if like Miami was 9-3 and Notre Dame was 10-2, there's not even a conversation. Like there's not even a conversation about it. And it's just one of those deals that you look at how the season progresses for each team. Miami kind of had that down slope, but then they really started picking it up after the loss to SMU. They just kind of steamrolled through the rest of the ACC play, annihilated Virginia Tech, annihilated Pittsburgh. And because of the ACC's dumb rules, somehow they didn't play in the conference championship game. But, it's when you look at this Miami team, they weren't supposed to be here. They go on the road. They beat Texas A&M in one of the most hostile environments in college football, 10-3. Like that game was a slugfest. And if you're playing Miami in a slugfest, it's probably not going to go your way. It was so impressive how they stopped that high-powered A&M offense right away. It's like, oh, okay. So maybe Miami does belong here because A&M, they didn't play well against Texas, and I think they kind of bled over into the game against Miami. But A&M was one of the better offenses in the SEC this season, and Miami completely shut down Marcel Reed and company. Then they follow that up with a win over Ohio State in dominant fashion. They got up, 14-0 right away and then took a nice lead in halftime and never looked back. Ohio State looked lost in that game. Julian Sain didn't really have any answers for Miami's secondary. The pass rush, Desmond Bain leading the way, was just dominant, got Julian Sain a handful of times. And then they follow that up with just a clutch win against a really, really fun Ole Miss team. Ole Miss had the late lead, 27-24, and then Carson Beck leads the game-winning touchdown drive, walks it in. on that 3rd and goal, I believe it was, and the rest is history. But I mean, Ole Miss had a bit of a controversy at the end of that game with the no call pass interference, but that they still would have had to score for the 20, which is rather unlikely. But I also think that Miami is just kind of flew under the radar in a sense, because like people were saying like, oh yeah, they got to be in. They don't have to be in. There is so much going on from both sides, and we've really seen Miami's true colors and what they are as a team. This defense is something else, man. I mean, this defense has been really impressive to watch.
Yeah, I think they came in. They're a physical bunch. We're going to get a physical national championship game that we all love and like with college football. Hopefully we might get some free football. It goes into OT, and we get a nice overtime fashion with a walk-off win with Mendoza doing a signature pose, and you get that forever on Sports Illustrated with how he does a walk-off for a win. So we'll see if we can get that.
Now, I think some keys to the game, especially for Indiana, I mean, it's kind of hard to like say stuff individually, but like just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, in Indiana, like force turnovers, like make Carson Beck uncomfortable. Fernando Mendoza, just do your thing. Get the ground game working. Get Roman Hemby and Kalen Black working. And then Fernando, he'll find his guys. Omar Cooper, he'll find Elijah Surratt. But also protect the quarterback, protect the quarterback, because Miami's pass rush is intense. I mean, it's looking like it might be one of the better pass rushes out there right now. But Indiana itself, I mean, Indiana has a great pass rush too. I mean, look what they did to Dante Moore in the last game against Oregon. And that was a team that obviously they beat once already in the season. And then, they say it's really hard to beat a team twice. They followed it up and made it look like Oregon didn't belong on the same field as them. So, I mean, I think Indiana's got to keep it simple and just keep doing what you're doing, What do you say?
Yep. Capitalize on Miami's mistakes, play mistake-free football, and they really should walk out with this game in the bag. I don't want to say in the bag, but a convincing victory.
Trevor, what do you think Miami has to do to get this win tonight?
What they have to do to get this win tonight. They have to be physical like they've been doing the entire playoffs. I think if they can create pressure for Mendoza and force them to do bad passes and let them get like maybe a pass that gets lobbed up and picked off, that's what they're going to do to win this football game. If they can't do that and create the pressure for Mendoza, I think Mendoza has a fantastic game and doesn't have to worry about it. As soon as they create that pressure, I think we'll see Indiana might break down a little bit, but they might make halftime adjustments to rebound from it, and they might be okay in the second half. But if Miami creates the pressure in the first half and keeps the score maybe like 14-10, I might be trailing by the 4 or up by 4, they might be okay to finish out the game. But again, that Indiana team, if they're receiving in the second half and they can score in that open possession in the second half, we have a game all the way to the end of the fourth quarter at that point.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right in the head. I think another important thing to keep in mind, though, is I think Mark Fletcher has to get going. I think Miami's run game has to do something so that Carson Beck gets not put on his shoulders all the time. I think Malachi Toney is going to be a huge difference maker in this game. Malachi Toney is one of the most talented freshmen we've seen in a long time. I mean, the fact that this kid's a true freshman and he's doing what he's doing, I mean, you look at that 2028 NFL draft, and I feel like that guy is going to be right up there for the first overall pick potentially. I mean, this kid is a stud.
Yep.
So I think if Miami can get Malachi Toney working a bit and get Mark Fletcher going in the backfield, don't make Carson Beck win the game for you, because that's kind of bit Miami in the tail a few times this season already. I think Miami kind of has to, I mean, in a sense, Miami also has to kind of play this perfect too. Like they have to play perfect to win this game, because when you're playing a team that hasn't shown a single flaw they showed a couple flaws in that Ohio State game a little bit, but Indiana has not shown a single weakness against Alabama or Oregon. I don't even know how you prepare for a team like Indiana, because they just come at you in every single facet possible. And Miami Miami's got to play perfect, in my opinion. And I think it just comes down to a lot of small things. But obviously, when it's a national championship, you really hope it's a good game, because we've seen a handful of national championships where the game's already over right when the game starts. So, I mean, even last year, for instance, Ohio State gets up really, really big on Notre Dame early on. Notre Dame just can't claw back into it. Will Howard completes that pass to Jeremiah Smith down the fade route when Notre Dame brought literally everyone on the blitz on that. Was that a 4th down last year?
It might have been.
Yeah. But I will say this though. It is really interesting that this game is at Miami's home stadium. I wonder if that could play as an advantage to them. But Indiana fans are going to travel, so I don't know. What do you think?
I could see Miami fans buying up all the tickets, and the pricing just changes for them, and Indiana fans can't get in. So we'll see what ends up happening. Like, maybe Indiana fans were able to, price hike and keep a lot of tickets for themselves, but I feel like Miami fans are very clever and smart about this and making sure Indiana fans can't get into this game to make it sure it's a Miami hostile environment from start to finish.
And, when you look at like Miami's home games, for instance, I feel like just because it's an NFL stadium, the attendance isn't always like what you would expect it to be. And I feel like there's not, obviously Miami has a lot of fans, but I feel like I've never seen a game that Miami's played at home where the stadium was just packed to the brim, in a sense. Maybe I'm wrong, but like going back to that Notre Dame game week 1, I believe it was packed, but it wasn't packed to the brim by any means. And those Indiana fans, I mean, they took over the Rose Bowl. They took over last week in Atlanta. And I kind of expect the same thing, man. I mean, I think Miami might have to kind of use a silent count at home tonight. I mean, these Indiana fans have been traveling like crazy. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Indiana has one of the largest living alumni bases of any college in the country. If I'm not mistaken, I think I've heard that. But I feel like that's true for a lot of Big Ten schools too, just because they're normally a lot bigger schools. I know for a fact Illinois has a very large living alumni base. But yeah, I'll be pretty interested to see like what happens with the kind of crowd split tonight, because you'd expect that Miami would have the advantage, but I wouldn't be so fast to say that, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think they're definitely going to pack the stadium. If not, they're going to be on the outside and finding ways to sneak into the stadium. I think it's just that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the University of Indiana, because I don't think they'll ever be back in quite some time unless they have another freakishly weird year where they get a lot of good transfer portals coming in. But like, I took a look at it like next season for Indiana. There's a couple teams on their resume where it's like I could see them having 3 losses next year, not making it into the college football playoffs, because I think they got USC, Michigan, and I want to say they might have another Big Ten team that's a threat, which it's like they can win against it, but it's not the same squad that they have this year. So it's like I'm halfway on the fence on that for sure to see what they end up doing. But again, it's college football. Anything can happen in the transfer portal, and anything going up into the next season. Maybe someone gets hurt in the offseason, changes an entire program, and the rest is history. Maybe we see Indiana back in the college football playoffs next year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. So Indiana next year plays Ohio State and USC at home, and they go on the road to Michigan and Washington. Those are like the 4 significant Big Ten games they have. Nebraska on the road is tough too. I don't think Nebraska will be anything kind of crazy next year, though, after they kind of lost a few guys in the portal. But yeah, I mean, you look at Indiana. I mean, the thing is, though, like to your point, I think a guy like Curt Cignetti is going to just kind of reset and reload. Like they're going to lose a lot of guys for sure. I mean, they're losing almost their whole offense in a sense, but for what he's done, like I don't see a way in which Indiana's just not going to be nationally relevant again next year. Like obviously 9-3 would still be a phenomenal year for Indiana football because they're so used to maybe winning 4 games in a season. And also, you know what's crazy? I'm kind of going to go on a little tangent here, but I saw a stat that said Indiana before this season had only won 3 bowl games in program history. They're going for their 3rd bowl game win in the same season now. That is unbelievable.
That's night and day.
That is unbelievable. So yeah, no, that's a good point though. I mean, you know, they're gonna have a tough schedule, so it will be interesting to see how they reload for next year. Because yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a gauntlet there. I mean, Ohio State and USC at home, those are gonna be 2 really tough games, and then at Michigan, who's only gonna be better next year, I think, under Kyle Whittingham now, and then Washington. No matter who you are, that's a really tough place to play. So yeah, that'll be interesting to keep in mind here. So why don't we get into some game picks for tonight, Trevor? The Indiana's favored by 7.5. The over/under is 46.5. Why don't you give us a detailed explanation of what you think is going to go down?
What's going to happen tonight, I think, will be Indiana's capping off their historical season, finishing the season undefeated. The margin of victory, I do like the 7.5 points for this. I think they keep it within 7.5, but I think Indiana wins by 2 possessions in this game for sure. But I don't think they're going to have that many flaws. They overcome the stage hype, and all I picture is Dave Portnoy coming on saying this is how you win a national championship to Ohio State for having an undefeated season. That's all I can picture right now.
What do you think about the over/under total?
From what I've been seeing, the over and under, I think they're going to get over 46.5 based on how many points that they've been producing. So I'm taking the over on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. Indiana has a chance to become the first ever 16-0 team in college football FBS history. I don't see a way in which they're stopped tonight. I mean, I kind of see this game being very similar to last year's national championship in a sense. I think that even though, I just saw a pretty interesting stat there. So Miami leads the country in sacks with 47. Indiana is second in sacks with 45. That's pretty interesting. That's going to come into effect tonight for sure.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think that Indiana's really good big offensive line is going to do a fine job against Miami's pass rush. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to have all the time in the world to make good decisions. He's going to find Omar Cooper. He's going to find Elijah Surratt. I don't think the run game for Indiana is going to be all that great. Like they might get a couple in on the ground for touchdowns, but I don't think they're going to have a great game on the run or on the ground because Miami's run defense is very stout. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they got the 3rd best rushing defense in the country. I think I saw that earlier. It's top 10. I can't remember if it's 3rd or if it's like 8th or something like that, but it's top 10. So yeah, I think Indiana's just going to keep this wagon rolling. I think that there's going to be a bit just too much firepower on both sides of the ball, and Carson Beck's going to have to try and win this game for Miami. I just don't think that's the winning recipe that Miami wants to have. Although, I mean, Ole Miss's defense isn't top tier by any means, but Carson Beck did win them the game last week. So, you know, I think that if Indiana just plays the way they've been playing, they're going to be just fine. They haven't showed any flaws like we've been talking about over and over, and I don't see that changing. I like Indiana to cover that number. My final score prediction is 30-20 Indiana. They're playing ahead for most of the game. Miami's just trying to play catch up a little bit, but just can't really get back into it fully. So I like that over as well. But, you know, hats off big time to Miami for getting to this point. I mean, they were not supposed to be here. They're the team that wasn't even supposed to be in the playoff, and now they're on the sport's biggest stage, playing in their home stadium to try and lift the national championship trophy. Which, you know, that would be pretty ironic if they do win tonight because they didn't win their conference. Like, I guess the same goes for Ohio State last year. They didn't win their conference and they won the national championship, but it would be really ironic for Miami, who played a very weak ACC this year, to not even be a conference champion of that very weak conference from top to bottom, and then be the national champion. But yeah, I just don't see a way in which this Indiana team goes down tonight, man. They're here for a reason. They've proven it. No team has been able to hang with them. They're just so talented on both sides of the ball. And it goes to show like how much going into the transfer portal works. I mean, Indiana is a very old team. I mean, I believe their average age is like 23, which is kind of crazy for a college football team. I don't think it might be like 22 and a half. So they got a really old team, but yeah, it just goes to show like how impressive a team can be when you dive into the portal and you grab your guys that you want. So yeah, I see Indiana getting this done tonight, and I think it's going to be a pretty convincing fashion. But yeah, that game's coming up once again. Kickoff in just about an hour now. And I'm excited. I mean, I'm kind of bummed the college football season's over. But man, it's been a pretty fun season. It's been a super unpredictable season. I mean, having number 5, number 6, and number 10 all in the semifinals. I mean, it just goes to show that this college football playoff thing, it's given teams an opportunity that normally wouldn't have an opportunity to contend for titles. And I really like it.
I know. I think the scary thing that is going to come up is, do you expand the college football playoffs to 16 teams or 24 teams? I think you're muddying the water if you expand it to like 24 teams, but 16 teams, you could probably swing it. But I think we're good with 12. I'm fine if we try to stretch it to 14 teams, but I don't want automatic bids for certain teams, aka Notre Dame, join a conference finally. But
seriously, right?
It's just one of the. I think we perfected it with 12 thus far. Yes, there's problems with the 12 and your conference champions of getting in. Don't get me wrong, we like James Madison being in there, but you're telling me BYU gets left out for losing a head-to-head twice to Texas Tech, and you're telling me they couldn't compete for a national championship game? I'm like, there's certain metrics where it's like you could bump it out a little bit more, and there's teams that could compete. But do we want good content or allowing teams to just be in there to say that they're in there?
Well, and I will say this to your point too. I don't know if they actually would have, because Texas Tech played awful against Oregon. I mean, they look terrible. Now, I don't know. I don't know if that's a talent gap deal or what, but Texas Tech, like I thought the Texas Tech team that was number 4 in the country, and rightfully so, was a team that Indiana was going to struggle with in the semifinal. Like I thought Texas Tech was going to give Indiana a great run for their money in the semifinal. I was very high on that team. And what they get shut out against Oregon, I mean, that's just mind-boggling. They played awful in that game. So I think that kind of does goes to show, though, like how bad the Big 12 was this year, too. Because, I mean, when you look at every other team in the Big 12 beside BYU and Texas Tech, that conference is bad. I mean, that there was just nothing there this year. So, I still think Texas Tech was a really good team, but when it comes down to making it this far, like I don't know. I mean, it was really, really weird to see Texas Tech play as bad as they did in that playoff game. So I don't know. I mean, like, would BYU have probably put up a better fight than a Tulane or James Madison? Maybe. Like you'd like to think so, right? But also, if you do expand the playoff, then people are going to be then 8 and 4 teams and be like, well, we should have been in at 16. Why were we in at 16? You had 4 losses. Like we're gonna go from like a 9 and 3 Texas being mad they didn't get into like an 8 and 4. I don't know, like some sort of other 8 and 4 SEC team being, well, why didn't we get in? We played the big bad SEC.
Be 8 and 4 Arkansas.
Yeah,
8 and 4 Arkansas not getting it.
Literally. And I think that no matter how much you expand it, it's never going to be correct. It will never be correct because people will always complain about it. Like there will never be a moment where people are not complaining about not getting into the college football playoff. So, when you talk about expanding it, like it's going to happen. It's going to go to 16. Like I'm pretty sure the Big 10 and SEC are really pushing for it right now. But I'm so sick of this whole SEC narrative because people are like, it's every week in the SEC. It's every week. You face a tough team every single week. When was the last time you guys won a national championship?
Yep.
When was the last time you guys played in a national championship? I mean, like, the big bad SEC.
That's where we're at.
You guys haven't won a national championship since Georgia did in 21. Like, the Big Ten has won the last two. Or, let's see. Am I wrong on that? I think was it 23 that Georgia won it last? Because Michigan was 24, Ohio State was 25. So, yeah. So, last time was Georgia.
I think Michigan had 20. Yeah.
Yeah. The 2023, 24, 24, 25. Yeah. So the Big Ten's going for its third straight national championship tonight. And yeah, I'm so sick of the narrative that the SEC is underrepresented in the college football play. I mean, what do they have? They had 5 teams in there this year.
And they couldn't get it done.
Like, I don't know. I mean, their conference champion didn't even make it to the, what was it? Didn't even make it to the semifinals, lost an all SEC game against Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so sick of this whole SEC narrative. Like, the SEC needs to shut up. They really do.
As their slogan, it just means more.
It does it though? I mean, I think that should be the Big Ten saying it now, because the Big Ten's proven that it's the best conference there lately. I mean, now, I mean, the ACC has a chance to win its first national championship in a handful of years since Clemson did it, and would they want to won it last in 2019? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been 2019, I believe. That sounds right.
It wasn't that 2019 with Joe Burrow in LSU.
Oh, that's the last time Clemson made it to the national championship. That's what it was. No, because they beat Ohio State one year. No, that was the year. Yeah, that was the year.
That was the year, yeah.
2018 was the year they beat Alabama, then, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, 2019 was the year that they lost to Joe Burrow. Yeah, that's right. I swear, it feels like these years just keep going by so fast. It's ridiculous that we're already talking about the national championship and that it's about to be played here on ESPN a little bit. But, yeah, it's been a really fun college football season. Indiana, if they win tonight, I think they will complete probably the greatest story in college football history, because you look at a team that literally 2 years ago, I believe they went 3-9 or 4-8. They fired their head coach, Tom Allen, bring this guy in from James Madison, who did nothing but really win there. And now here they are after a disappointing end of last year when they lost to Notre Dame in the first round of the playoff, kind of got manhandled in that game. Here they are with a chance to become the first ever 16-0 team in college football history. I mean, this is just an unbelievable story about this Indiana team. I mean, you can't make it up. You really can't.
No, you really can't. So, yeah, the game is kickoff is coming up. I believe it's officially in an hour now. But anything else from you, Trevor? I think we've covered a lot here. Yeah, we covered a lot of interesting things. Hopefully, we get one of the greatest national championship games to date. I mean, we've seen national championship games get blown out, but I think this one's going to be on the lines where you're going to watch from start to finish, and we're going to be like saying, okay, Indiana's up, but Miami's making a roaring comeback, and they're going to go with a nice, lovely pump. The storm is coming, and they storm back into the game, and they try to do a game-winning drive to try to keep their national hopes of winning a national championship alive. But it's probably going to get picked off in the end zone. You're going to see the quarterback hands in the air, and that's it. That's how they end up losing a national championship.
Oh, man. That'd be wild. I'd love it if it came down to the wire. I was just a big football fan. I'd love it. I'm hoping for a great game. But, yeah, I like Indiana to win that by at least that touchdown. And but even then, it still could be a great game, even if that's the case, even if Miami has like a chance to go down and tie the game potentially in the last drive. But thank you guys so much for tuning into our college football championship college football playoff national championship pregame show. It's been a blast to be on here, be live, enjoy the game. Looking forward to seeing what's hopefully a great game. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. He's Trevor Williams. I'm Will Charlton, and make sure to tune in and enjoy the final game of the 2025-26 college football season. And I'll see you back here next Monday on Noteworthy in the NCAA. Thanks for tuning in.